Hello again and welcome to MMOFTW, the PAX Prime 2012 Awards Edition. Instead of the usual sort of news report this week, we're going to talk about the 5 best titles we saw at Seattle's annual gathering of the games. It was a different kind of PAX without the usual suspects, as most of those games have now launched, been out, and suffered the ups and downs of doing something like that. So the grand old parade, that hype train, turns towards a new batch of games. What did we see? What made us nod in agreement, drool with anticipation, and was there anything that surprised and excited our cynical little hearts? Stay tuned to find out, because this is MMOFTW.
Make a toast! What do you got there? Oh! Oh! God! How you doing? What is that? Blood Brothers. Don't! Damn it! Why did you... Here.
Alan,
No!
no,
I'm not
Alan.
doing that!
Go ahead, Stuart.
Make him stop.
Alan, we're not gonna...
First up is our Rising Star Award, which we give away each year to the title that we think deserves a little extra attention while it's in development. Maybe it's been flying under the radar, readying to pounce on some unsuspecting gamers, or maybe it's just a title with not a lot of attention so far. In this case, it's probably a little bit of both. Sega's Phantasy Star Online 2 is an action MMO that brings the series back to its online roots, while giving the combat, visuals, and mechanics a much-needed update. We played PSO2's localized English version on the show floor, and while we had fond memories of the original, maybe we weren't expecting much given the recent takes on the Phantasy Star universe. Instead, we were very pleasantly surprised by the game's character customization, which is some of the most in-depth we've seen since Ion, and the incredibly fluid and varied combat mechanics. While the game has a general 2013 North American release date, so it can happen anytime between January and December, it's definitely one to watch if you're a fan of the original, or even just a fan of action-based MMOs, and maybe hell, you're just a fan of Phantasy Star, because Lord knows that those RPGs were some of the ones that shaped our youth, well, me, who am I kidding, back in the 90s. For our best hybrid of PAX Prime 2012, we're going with a game that could probably also be called the Rising Star right alongside Phantasy Star. Meteor Entertainment's Hawken is shaping up to be one of the best competitive mech shooters with persistent online elements like character development, mech customization, and the potential for some serious clan rivalry and a whole bunch of other stuff that hasn't even been announced yet. Akin to MechWarrior Online and maybe World of Tanks if both of those games were on speed, took a whole bunch of bath salts and ran down the California freeway with a lot more firepower, Hawken surprised the hell out of us with Meteor's ambition and the pure blood-pumping fun of the action once you're actually playing the thing. With a release date due by the end of this year and a beta steadily approaching, you'll want to head over to hawkengame.com and sign up for this free-to-play mech shooter that really is something unique. It's kind of like, well, it's like MechWarrior Online, like I said, if MechWarrior Online had a whole bunch of drugs in its system and was amped up like Ray Liotta in The Goodfellas. Next up is our most innovative award, which you're going to give to Tytale's Novus Eterno this year, a truly massive MMORTS that has been entirely conceived and brought to reality by the ambition of a kid who began the game's development and the universe's lore development in his teens by his lonesome. He pulled everybody together on this development team, organized the whole thing himself, and it's a few years later, and as NA approaches the beta and launch, Tytale's game is turning heads for its unique approach to the space-based RTS on a massive scale. When I say massive, I mean 30,000 players will be playing with and against each other on one server as they strive for galactic dominance with their own unique civilization, where you can customize everything from the ships to your emblems and yada yada yada. It goes on and on. Honestly, we cannot encapsulate exactly what this game's about in this video without just doing the whole show on the game, so head on over to the official site and see for yourself why we're watching this one with great interest. And for our most anticipated title, we're going to pick the game that had each of us at the show saying, okay, tell us more, this is sounding too good to be true. And while the flow of info is just beginning to speed up, the more we hear about Carbine Studios' WildStar Online, the more we crave. At the show, we learned how Carbine is going to make mining an act of heroism, how each area of the game will have unique and varying climates and geological phenomenon that actually affect the gameplay, and how the devs are taking combat and making it more skillful and much less mundane than everybody's been used to. Oh, and you'll also have your own house with rocket turrets to defend it, gardens, decorations, furniture, and it'll float high in the sky, solving that age-old real estate problem. Carbine promised with the floodgates opening later this year and tons of info coming out, we're going to just keep hearing more and more towards the end of 2012 and into the new year. And we can't wait to learn more about just exactly what kind of stuff they're hiding back there. There's a lot, I promise. And lastly, we're coming to our game of the show for PAX Prime 2012. This award is all about the title whose presentation and maybe highlighted features stood out to us the absolute most. The game that best embodies many or all of our award categories. And while it won the award back in PAX East for an entirely different reason, Neverwinter's Foundry system, possibly the most in-depth yet accessible user-generated content system we've ever seen, put Cryptic's free-to-play MMO, due out in 2013, at the head of the pack. How's that for a run-on sentence? Okay, so with the ability to make a quick and easy quest, just put something together real quick and show it to your friends, or offering the more intense creators the ability to customize everything from the sconces in a tavern to every single piece of clothing and armor on an NPC to even the posture, the size, the way they're built, the way they move. The Foundry is the kind of system that could wind up making an MMO filled with infinite content, and the developers don't even have to make a shred of it if they don't want to. They could stop supporting the content and just say, okay players, you go ahead and do that. Now, I highly doubt Cryptic's going to, but it's nice to know that they have a backup of players that, if they're passionate, can just make all this D&D stuff. And I think we all know how passionate Neverwinter fans can be. There's even a voting system that can keep the crap at the bottom and the cream at the top. Let's just say that we were once again impressed with Neverwinter, and we all feel like Cryptic is definitely on to something special. Beta begins before the end of the year, and release has been pushed back to early 2013 to include special features that maybe weren't in the cards until the delay, like, yes, PvP, which we're also going to be learning more about as the game nears its launch in 2013. It definitely seems to be the kind of title worth taking a little longer for. Congrats Cryptic, congrats Perfect World, and congrats Neverwinter. Keep up the great work. That will do it for this week's show. I'm going to catch up on sleep because I can barely keep my eyes open. Right now I just tape them up, but thank God it doesn't show up on camera. And then I'm going to head to Jamaica for a very much needed vacation. When I say Jamaica, I mean Jamaica. I'm not telling you exactly where. There's too many stalkers out there. You lot have a fantastic week, and don't be too sad about the lack of MMOFTW next week, as I won't be around to tape it. But I'll be back in 2 weeks' time, and we'll make sure it's a supersized episode to make up for my absence, because I know how much you all love me so much, and this weird hair. Be sure to follow us on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at MMORPGcom without the dot. And as always, don't let a bad pug get you down.